Alrighty. Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. Let me put my headphones on so I'm not sitting here screaming. There we go. That's a little bit better. So, welcome back to the stream. We are a little bit, I guess, it's been a long time since I've streamed recently, so I'm a little bit discombobulated. Not too bad. I just need to get back in the groove of things. So, on Monday, I had to cancel stream because I was having a really bad breathing day. I ended up getting kind of ill from something that I ate, and anytime I get ill for any reason, my breathing just decides it's going to act up at the same time. So unfortunately, it took me a few days to get over that. So I am currently doing well enough that I can stream. So I am super excited to be here, and I'm really looking forward to today's stream. So today we are going to be continuing working on our steak, and we got to continue working on that neck and drawing it out just a little bit. I did turn on the forge a little bit early so that it can just start heating up while we're discussing things. So I guess it is now time for our, what am I going to call it today? Our maintenance, or I guess our, housekeeping. Today is a really special housekeeping. I got a package in the mail, so I'm hiding from my boss. Well, if you're hiding from your boss, then I should probably hurry up and do this mail call. I do have an ad break starting in about a minute and a half. Well, I guess it's going to be about 2 minutes, so we'll see what we can do. I got this package from Knott's, not shabby right there, and I put tape over his address so that I can show you the box. And so yeah, we're gonna open this up and see what's inside. I have no idea. Knott's is an amazing blacksmith. We met at Quad State this year. I'm gonna start on these edges here. I don't do a lot of these, you know what? It would be smart to go this direction instead of towards me, because knives and stabbies. There we go. There's that. And then I oftentimes will go like so. That way I don't strike through anything. No stabby. Yeah, we're not going to stab ourselves today. Okay, so I'm opening this guy up. And you know what? I'm going to snooze the ad. Whoops. Good day. Oh no! Stay. I'm going to snooze this ad so that we can get the full unboxing. Ads are snoozed for 5 minutes. Hey, Lexi. All right, so we're opening the box. And I'm glad there's lots of paper because it fell over. Damn it, I broke it. Oh! I would be devastated. Like, seriously, I would be devastated. All right, we got lots of paper. And we'll put that... I don't want to put it on the floor because I have a tendency to drop things. All right. Ooh, I think I found the meat of it right here. And I'm going to put that over there so I have an extra hand. We're going to open this up. And is there anything else in here? I don't see anything else. Let me know if I've missed anything. If there's a note or anything like that. All right. So we're going to throw the box behind the cameras. All right. Now we get to the nice meat of things. This is a lovely handle. And we're gonna unwrap it. Unwrap it, unwrap it. Woo-hoo-hoo! That is absolutely gorgeous. Get rid of that. And I'm gonna swap cameras real fast. Let's see. You guys should be able to see this now, maybe a little bit closer, hopefully. So this is a raising hammer. So we are going to be making one of these in the next couple of weeks ourselves. But yes, this is an absolutely lovely Damascus steel raising hammer. It is a beautiful pattern. Look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that real well. I tried to, nothing else. Okay, cool. I tried to focus the camera a little bit so you guys can kind of see a detail shot of it. So hopefully you guys can see that well enough. This is absolutely gorgeous. It's so beautiful. I love the faces. Oh, I'm gonna put this to work. This is absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much, Knots. Thank you so much. That's gorgeous. I mean, there's a part of me that doesn't want to put it to work. It's so pretty. I just want to, like, you know, put it in a case. But I think it's a lovely tool, and I think I need to put it to work. So, you know, maybe I will make a different sized one for the raising hammer that we make together. Polish the faces and put it to good use. Yeah. So gorgeous. Thank you so much. Awesome. I'm super excited to use this guy. Thank you so much. All right, so let's see. Do I have a nice place to put it over here? Let's move this hammer. This hammer's kind of like it's my old hammer. This I used to use for chasing. It's got like a little. I don't like this side of it. It's like a little pick, but used to chase with this. It can move. It can go into storage so that I can put my brand new hammer on the rack. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so we do have an ad coming up in about a minute and a half. So looks like our steel is relatively hot, so we should be able to do a heat relatively quickly as well. So I will need to move my camera so that you guys can see what's going on the press, because we're going to continue working there. So yeah, man, I really want to make the or to finish the steak so that I can use the hammer with the steak. And I mean, I'm gonna make a hammer too, like another raising hammer, but I am super excited to use that one. Like, absolutely gorgeous. Nothing that I make is gonna look nearly like that. But we shall do our best. So thank you so much. All right, let's put our tools on the anvil so we can set everything up. Make sure that we don't lose any heat. Yeah. That is super exciting. Very nice. So I picked that guy up about a half an hour before stream. I had to go over to the mailbox to see if it was there. And I was not sure that I was going to get back to stream or to start stream on time, but I was able to. So it's good to know that I can get there and back to the mailbox, or, you know, to my P.O. box in a half an hour if I need to. So that's really exciting. So, I mean, there could totally be some more mail calls here. I do have a P.O. box, and if you would like that P.O. box address, please do let me know, and I can send it to you. I would love to do product reviews or, you know, show off you guys' work. And yeah. Can't wait to see a close-up pic of the hammer. Was that not close enough? Yeah, I will have to show a even closer picture of it. I was not sure how big the piece was, so I didn't know how close I needed the camera. So yeah, I will definitely put a picture of that hammer on YouTube, as well as I'll probably post one on Instagram as well, just so that, you know, it's there and you guys can see a good close-up of it. All right. Let's see if I can make sure that I get my stuff going. All right, let's make sure everything is in focus. Cool. Then the last thing I need to do is actually drop the plunger. It is a simple low-layer twist Damascus. I mean, regardless, it's gorgeous, you know? But yeah, I will definitely show you guys a close-up on the Discord. I'll probably also do a short this week on that piece, and I will get a really good close-up of it. Checking it out. So pretty. Did you put a maker's mark on here? I may have missed it. That was gorgeous though. I'm super looking forward to using this guy. Harder to see or to see on a partial phone screen. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. I forget that some of you guys are watching on the phone screen. Because when I watch Twitch, it's usually on my giant monitor screen, because I have two monitors, and I'll watch a stream on one, and I'll either like edit or game or, you know, scroll Facebook or whatever I'm going to do on the other screen. So I forget, man, that people are watching on phone screen. So I'll try and get a little bit closer shots of the hammer, and I'll post those for you guys. Alrighty. Once the air tank, I don't know why I wanted to call it propane, but the air compressor, once it recharges, I will start working on our first piece. I'm hoping, my goal for today is to make sure that I get the one side drawn out, the side with the little round section, the side that's going to make that bulbous concave shape. And then we will turn that around for Friday, and we will start working on the butt end of our raising stake. The other end of the raising stake is for roughing in like the corners on bottoms of the vases and things like that, or any like lines that you need to create. So that is what our second side is going to be used for, and I'm hoping we'll be able to start on that on Friday. hopefully we can keep on keeping on and finish the raising part of the stake today. So yes, super exciting. I will definitely have to make sure that the size of the raising hammer that we make together on stream is different than the size of this new hammer, because there are multiple different sizes that you can use for different purposes, and I want to be able to use all of my hammers for some good hammering. Super exciting. Okay. I am going to do a little bit. Oh, wait, you know what? I was lazy this morning, or I guess not lazy per se, but I went to the mailbox instead of setting my dies. So let's set my die real fast. All right, there we go. I'm sorry about this, guys. I should have been more prepared. Preparation. All right, we'll tighten our bottom die up a little bit, and then we'll go. This is what happens when I don't stream for too long. I need to make sure that I stream more very frequently, so I don't forget what I'm doing. All right, let's try this. Did I get it? I did it. Okay. So for our first heat, we've got a little bit of a curve that I am trying to fix a little bit. And that's what we're going to do here. We got a little bit of meat that we can push down and straighten that curve. It should work pretty well for us. All right, we're gonna flip this over, and we're gonna come at it from this side, and then we'll get working on drawing that out a little bit further. Oh my God, Pete, thank you so much for joining us today. Hello, and welcome to the stream. It is warmer than I thought it would get. So this is my microphone, and I gotta change pockets. It was in my jacket pocket, and now we're gonna put it in my pants pocket because I think I'm gonna take my jacket off. There we go. Hopefully we're still okay on the sound. All right. It is like relatively warm, but it's not like in the 70s. It's like 57 degrees outside, Fahrenheit. And so it's cool enough that I want to wear a jacket, but because I'm near the forge, I get warm. I'm at that point where my arms are cold, but like I'm sweating a little bit in my core, like my body is sweating a little. I hate that because it's like my arms I don't know, maybe I just need like arm warmers. Back in the 80s, they used to have those like leg warmer things. Maybe I need them for my arms. Maybe we've got some knitters out there, you know. I could totally use some arm warmers. They got to be able to, like, you know, shove up though, because if it is, you know, if I get scale on them, I want to make sure that like they don't melt, or you know, I can pull them out of the way. Maybe that's something I can ask my sister and my mom for. They're really big knitters. Or I guess it's crochet that they do, not knitting. Those two are two different things from what I've heard. I'm not amazingly familiar with either one, but I've been told that they're very different. So today we're actually getting some pretty good shaping going, and I'm pretty excited about that. That is exactly what we want to see. Right now we have like a square block at the end, and there are some really sharp corners, and we're going to eventually want to take those off. I'm debating if I want to take those off with a hand hammer, like with, you know, with this guy, or if I want to grind those off at the end. And I think it really depends on how we're doing time-wise. We will have to do a bunch of grinding and dressing on the steak to make sure that it's really nice and shiny. Because any texture, any gnarly bits on this will transfer under every blow of our hammers. And we want to make sure that we get a brand spanking new smooth surface on all of our vessels and our armor. So we want to make it easy on ourselves and not have to sand through so much stamping. And so if we, you know, take that extra time dressing our hammers and our steaks, it makes it all the difference, and it makes it so much more easy to clean up our pieces in the end. Super excited today. I was so disappointed that I wasn't able to come out here on Monday. Like, I would have come out here if not for the fact that I was breathing heavy just by walking back and forth. So, because occasionally I just get these days where it's just like I can barely go from the bed to my office. And Monday was one of those days. Yesterday it was a lot better, and today is even better than yesterday. So I'm super excited. We got adrenaline pumping, and we're gonna get on with our lives, keep moving and keep forging. All right, let's do another heat. All right. I really like the width that we've already got going. I'm mostly just trying to straighten out a curve and maintain the dimensions that we already have. Alright, get back to forging, or I guess drawing down. We're going to flip this guy this direction, and we're going to keep on keeping on. Hey Yankee, welcome to the stream. We got mail today. I got this lovely hammer from Knott's. Knott's hubby is an amazing blacksmith I met at Quad State, and he does not sell his pieces. He gives them away, and he decided that he'd like to give this piece to me. So this is a raising hammer. It is the tool that you use with the raising stake to create the poles that I am so excited to do, and the pieces of armor. So I am super excited to use this guy. We are going to make our own version of this as well, but I'm going to make a different size specifically so I can use both of them. I'm really glad that I was able to open this before we started working on our own version of it, so that way I can make sure that I do two different sizes. So this is a Damascus steel hammer, and I am super excited. It's so pretty. I've never owned anything that is Damascus aside from the attempt at a knife that I did several years back. So I'm super happy, super excited to see that. Oh, that's my... This is, I have a Skippy peanut butter jar that I use to fill with water when I'm grinding stuff. Got to keep things cool as I'm grinding them because they start heating up, and I can take tempers off if I allow them to get too hot. So I fill that peanut butter jar with water and make sure that I, cool off the materials that I'm grinding at the bench grinder. And apparently it decided to fall off of what it was on. I don't know what it was on. Put it over here because I guess I probably won't have to use the quench bucket today. I cannot use the quench bucket today on, are you doing two different ends with said sized on the stake? I am doing a ball end on the stake, and then I'm doing a pointy end on the other side of the stake. So one will be done for, the actual bulbous raising part, making those concave shapes, and the other will be for trying to set in a flat base. So if I want to make like a flower pot or, like a vase of some type, I can use the back end with that sharp corner to kind of lay in the bottom. What alloys would you use on a Damascus pattern? I've only seen what's used for blades. I'm interested in the answer to that question as well. A lot of people that I've seen do Damascus hammers, they're using the same alloy that they would use for blades. But I've also, you could probably also do a lot with, 4140, which is usually what I use for hammers and what I used for the axe. Yay, watch streaks! So that's the goal, and I may end up changing the opposite end of the stake. I might do a little bit more of like a different sized round area, because I have seen a few different raising stakes that have rounds on both ends. So I don't know. I might change my mind. We might not do the pointy end. We might do two balls. I use 1080 and 15 and 20. Harden and then draw to a dark brown just before purple. Oh, draw the temperature or the temper. That makes sense because on a blade, you want that color when you're tempering it to be straw yellow. And that's going to give you a really strong blade that has a little bit of give, so it's not going to chip on you. But it's going to maintain that sharpness on the edge. But purple, that's going to give you a little bit more softness, and with a hammer, you do want a nice soft head. You want that spring back. So purple would be a really good temper for a hammer. With those hardening steels. A lot of people I know of when they're doing 4140 hammers, they will still go straw yellow because it is a medium carbon steel and it's a little bit softer. I draw a softer temper because it is such a hard steel. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense because you do want that nice bounce back. That softness. If your hammer is just too hard, over time it's gonna crack because the repeated hammer blows. If it's too hard, it's not gonna be happy. I'd go straw if it was 1040 or so. I'm glad that we agree on that. Because I have a lot of head knowledge, but I don't have a lot of practical knowledge when it comes to working with high and mid carbon steels. So I'm glad that what I remember is correct. Super happy. All right, let's do another heat. If I could get this out of here, that would be great. There we go. Little bit. So I draw to straw with 4140 hammer. Should I go further? Nah, I guess it's fine. It's the same carbon as 1040. 4140 isn't a really hard steel. Yeah, it's a really good mid carbon steel, from what I'm told. And I do think that they're really close together, 1040 and 4140. But the alloy is just slightly different with different elements in there. So yeah. I've also seen a lot of people make hammers out of 1045, which, I mean, there isn't a really huge difference in how a hammer is going to perform between 1040 and 1045. I know that there are reasons why there are certain alloys that we've settled on because, they have different purposes. But for the hammer purpose, I don't think there's too much of a difference. So I know that we've mentioned on stream before, but not Shabby or not Hubby also streams on YouTube instead of Twitch. They have he has his own channel on YouTube. Go ahead and plug yourself if you've got that link to that. He was streaming on Sunday making a hold down, which we made one of those a couple weeks ago, and it worked all right. I think that Knox's was much better looking, certainly, but also probably works better as well. Hey Jack, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. 4140 has chromium and molybdenum. We're in it, and it's oil hardening. 1045 is basic carbon steel and is water hardened. You've been lurking. Metal big. Yes, we are doing a very large piece of steel, even larger than we used for that axe. So this thing's probably a good, like, 7-8 pounds-ish. Pretty darn big. But we are making a large tool. It is I guess a miniature anvil. So, I mean, we need a good amount of material. This one specifically is for raising. So we're going to be doming some sheet metal, and I want to make some. At first, I want to make a pauldron, a piece of armor, and then for our next piece that I want to make with this stake, sometime in the future, we're probably not going to do them back to back, but I also want to make a really lovely vessel. So we'll probably be using this stake, maybe the other stake that I already have. We'll probably be using some sinusoidal stake because I want to do a bulbous bottom with kind of that chamfers in and then also comes up again. So I want to make a really nice flower face eventually. I have seen, Lexi, I saw that Holland Anvil is closing up shop. It is so sad. I am super sad. Hey, Chris. Jack says, I wanted to make some raising stakes for a long time, just never got to it. Good on ya. Yeah, I've made a couple of them. Two that I have made, let's see if I can't find it. I kind of buried it earlier with my jacket. This one is for shallower bowls because it's got this end here. It's like really sharp, and so I was never able to get anything that was like really deep. And so that's the goal that we have here for this stake. And then the second stake that I made, and I did not make this one by hand or anything. I borrowed my friend's power hammer, and we drew this guy out, and then I hand curved this. So this is called a sinusoidal stake. You can use it this direction, you can use it this direction. And this is for creating complex curves. So, complex curves. How can I explain that? So you can curve this way as well as this way at the same time. It looks like a magic wand. It does. It's easier to use this direction as well. Evening Sandwich, hello. Welcome, welcome. And now you guys, now that we've got more people coming, I gotta show off my hammer again. Guys, Knott's hubby sent me a raising hammer. It's Damascus steel. It's gorgeous. It is, I'm super excited for it. We've got a wider hammer face, and then we've got, you know, the thicker one. This is gonna be great for use with our steaks. Super excited. And I will post a much closer shot of this guy on the Discord so you guys can see that. And I'll also put some beauty shots in a short on YouTube so you guys can check that out. I'm super excited to use it. Super excited. Complex curves like real curves, just with an imaginary part. Something like that. Something like that. Ray's gonna turn us all into pigs with that wand. Goodness. We've got an ad, and so I'm gonna change my camera view. That way we've got some interesting variation going on. Let's see if I can't make it a little bit closer. Because I spend a lot of time editing these things, and it gets really, really boring for me if I look at the same view all the time. Oh, you know what? I got so excited about the hammer that I forgot to talk to you guys about this week's video. So once this ad is over, I will tell you guys all about talking to Noah Hickman. All right, the ad break has ended. I'm in cahoots with Mr. Boombody. Maybe. How's the metal cooking going? It's going pretty well, you know. I got my oven going, and it's working pretty well. You know, as it does, as we do. So I forgot to talk to you guys about this week's YouTube video. This week's video is an interview that I did with Noah Hickman. Noah is a very young blacksmith. He is, I met him at Quad State, and he competed in the junior blacksmithing competition, and so I got a chance to talk to him, and it was so much fun. It was so cool just talking to people of all different backgrounds, all different ages, genders about blacksmithing, because blacksmithing isn't just for big burly white guys or big burly guys in general. It's for everyone. Blacksmithing is for everyone. So check that video out. It's up on my YouTube. I'm super excited to show it to you guys. Ray's Kitchen. I mean, I would, you know, I was a cook for a while, I'll admit, but I don't cook for my family because I don't know any recipes that are small enough portions. If you want me to cook, I can cook you a lasagna, but I'm gonna cook a lasagna in a giant sheet cake pan. That's the kind of cooking I do. All right, let's do another heat. Better just a little bit. Sliding on me. For our next heat, we are going to flip this upside down this direction and start working a little bit and make sure that everything smooths off and stuff. want to make this a little bit longer, I think. Then we're going to start working again on that direction just to make sure that we got parallel lines and less material that I'm going to have to grind off. It's quite satisfying watching hot metal be squeezed for some reason. I think it is too. I really, really do. I will admit, I wish it was a little bit faster than that so we could get a little bit more work done in a more timely fashion. But, you know, we work with what we've got. One day, you know? So yeah, this weekend I was looking at Facebook and I saw that Holland Anvil is closing up shop. We talked to Holland Anvil last spring. They were originally an iron pattern company. So they created patterns for different iron parts, and they poured iron and steel, as well as different other types of alloys, and creating all kinds of parts. And a few years ago, they got into making anvil patterns, and they're absolutely gorgeous anvils. They're brand new, you know, really sharp corners. They're very high quality anvils, and very reasonable prices for new ones. But unfortunately, with the steel prices raising, it's just not viable and not profitable to do that anymore. So unfortunately, they do have more stock or more product in stock, and last I saw, they were going to be doing their last stock on this Friday, so 2 days from now. So if you are interested, go ahead and take a look at their website. It's hollandanvil.com. In the words of Bert Gummer, doing what I can with what I got. Yep. I guess we can say what comes out of this kitchen is either still red or well done. Right? When it comes out of the oven, it's pretty like white, red, or, you know, orange. And when I put it back in, it's a little bit red. Holland anvils are cast in H13. Yeah, it is a nice tool steel. And they also do their swage blocks, and those are done in ductile iron. So they're really great for what they are, and they will definitely be missed when they close up. Some people say it's a bit chewy, though. I bet Ray doesn't know who Bert Gummer is. Yeah, you're right. I don't. I'm sorry. You'll have to explain that reference to me. So I should get my anvil now. Well, I mean, if you are planning on getting an anvil from, you know, from Holland, and you have the money laying around, yes, you should get it now as opposed to later. But, you know, don't spend money you don't have. Oh, is it from Tremors? Yeah, the swages are 654512 ductile. Yeah, I talked to Greg from Holland Anvils when I went to the Missouri Blacksmith Association conference, and we got to talk a little bit about just their history and the different patterns that they have and things like that. I don't remember the exact alloys that that he told me about, but you know, I do have a few of them in the video that I made that's up on YouTube. But yeah, Derek Melton does the small swage blocks now, similar to Holland. He's the guy with all the guns and Tremors. Okay, I watched Tremors one time when I was a teenager, and it kind of scared me a little bit. Not like little kids scared of the dark, but like, you know, it just was not, I don't know, the whole concept, the dune worms and like the similar concepts, that kind of creeps me out a little bit. That is a line from the second movie, though. I see. I have to look up Derek Melton. There are a couple people that I have seen that are starting to do dishing bowls and swage blocks and things like that. So, you know, where one person steps down, there are so many people in the blacksmithing community that end up stepping up. So it is a great loss that Holland is closing up shop, but there are other people that will step in when it's viable to do so. His swages are sold by Atlas Knife and Tool. Cool, I'll have to look that up. Let's do another heat. It has been a while since I've looked at Atlas's site. I looked at it for a while. It's on my list. So we are going to start working on this section here, trying to move that material this direction. I'm pretty happy with the width that we're getting right around there. So I need to make sure that everything back here is a similar width. So we're going to keep on keeping on. Not sponsored, but Ray could be. Atlas. Yeah, I mean, I am, one of the goals that I have with this channel and my content creation as a whole is I want to highlight members of the blacksmithing community that are, you know, that can help people, whether that be, you know, tool makers and websites, but or also, you know, like Havana affiliates, classes, specific blacksmiths. I'm never going to be a master blacksmith. I just don't have it in me to become a, you know, a master, at least not in the short term. But I can definitely point you to a master blacksmith, and you know, so I wet your whistle, I get you prepared, and then I send you to your new master. Yeah, when Uncle Buck stepped aside, he gave his cut plans to Roy at Christ Center Ironworks. I've got a lot of Uncle Buck's tools. I love their spikes. They move like butter. 10.95 butter. They're 10.78. Thank you. Yeah, that's one of the things that's so great about the blacksmithing community is people are always willing to step up and step in when there's a need, right? I mean, there was a need for more presses. There was a need for more power hammers, like new and local power hammers. And Coal Iron stepped up. You know, they're great. Their tools are great. And I mean, there's constantly people who are stepping in and making sure that we can perpetuate this craft. And part of my job is to point to those people and be like, check them out. W1RBE7KN4CK5. I think that's supposed to say a word. I think I'm supposed to read the numbers as letters. But thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. And if you've got a nickname that you'd like me to call you, please post that so that I can, I can make sure that I'm calling you by the right name. But thank you so much for that follow, and welcome to the community. I thought my friend had a coal iron press, but it's a Clark iron press. Works pretty nice. Interesting. I don't think I've seen Clark iron. I'll have to look those up too. I'm not sponsored, so, I give equal opportunity. I am open to sponsorship though, so if you are a representative for any, any companies, I'm all for sponsorships. Another Twitch user who mixed up username and password. I mean, it looks like maybe it's supposed to say Wibnox, but I'm uncertain. So if you've got a nickname, I want you to be welcome, and I want to be able to call you out and make sure that you know that you're welcome. So thank you for joining. Clark is the Temu version of the coal. I don't know. Maybe not. Like I said, I've never heard of them, so I will have to look them up before I can give an opinion. All right. Another key. We're going to go sideways again, I think, for our next heat, but we're going to keep on keeping on with this one, I think. You know what? I'm going to flip this because we are getting a little bit of a curve, and I want to make sure I take that out. I wasted way too much heat there. This is what happens when you're hemming and hawing on what process you want to do next. Not exactly, just one-person shop, so I think he can run cheaper. I wish I knew about Clark when I was in Franklin, Tennessee a couple years ago. His shop is there. There are so many blacksmiths in Tennessee. I might be biased because most of the guys that I've really connected with are from Tennessee. And then, you know, I do have connections in various other places, but I feel like there's a large concentration in Indiana. And there are plenty of people who are in Missouri and other places as well. But yeah, so I will be going more to Tennessee you know, I will be going to Tennessee and to Indiana more frequently. Uh-oh, hold on, everyone. Things are about to go sideways. Yeah. Like I said, I'm a little bit biased about Tennessee because that's where I really started. My blacksmithing journey is at the Metals Museum there in Memphis. So I suppose if I'm really specific, most of the people that I've met in Tennessee, I've met in Tennessee, but they're from other places. The Metals Museum draws people from all across the country and, you know, all across the world. They have Europeans and people from all over that come and visit the Metals Museum. So. I've now suddenly decided to be anti-Tennessee. Oh, is it because you have to be anti-me? Maybe. I would think a metals museum would be in LA, San Francisco, Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, or Anthrax exhibit. Maybe. We're talking metal material, not metal music. You know, if there was a metal hall of fame for metal music, I would not know where that was. Jack says he just enjoys being an antagonist. An antagonist. I also enjoy. I enjoy being an anti-hero. You know, the reluctant hero. You know, somebody who's like, I just want to sit in the corner and drink my drink. I don't want to have to go and like save the world. But you always end up doing it because you're the anti-hero, that you're still the hero. Well, I have work to do. I'll see ya. Well, thank you so much for the present, and we'll see you later, Knots. Have a great rest of your day at work. See ya. That kind of metal might be driven out of Tennessee since it's the home of country music. The old Opry. Yeah. I don't know. I think it depends if Taylor Swift crosses genres again and does metal music, right? Because if Taylor Swift decides to do metal music, Tennessee would be all over it because, you know, she spends so much time and money and effort into funding music in Tennessee. This is why you are often tired, because you fly around all night to fight evil. Probably. Goodness gracious. Today is fun. I'm so glad to be here, guys. I'm so glad that I am up and about and able to be here. Hey, Mahalo. Welcome to the stream. Welcome in. Hello, hello. So Knots just left, but he sent me a package and I just have to show it off, you know? Knots sent me this hammer. It is a Damascus steel raising hammer. So this is the kind of hammer that we're going to be making after we make this raising stake. The raising stake that we're making and a hammer just like this, they go well together. This is, you know, they're the peas in the pod, right? I'm super excited to use this. We're gonna make another one still, but it's gonna be a different size. So yes, it's gorgeous. So as soon as I'm able to, I will make a short where I show some beauty shots here of the hammer, and yeah, it's gorgeous. I'll probably shoot some stills and post those on Discord, maybe Instagram. I'm still really bad at it. I hope I remember, but yeah. So I'm super, super happy and super excited for that piece. Yes. My hammer's not going to be anywhere near that pretty, but, you know, we could all dream, right? It makes a beautiful ring on the anvil too, I bet. I'll bet it does. I don't want to use it. See, it's a gorgeous hammer, and I'm sure it would make a lovely ring. But there's a part of me that just doesn't want to use it on this anvil because this anvil has so many dings in it. I want to be precious with it. Let's see how well it works. Nice bounce back. Yeah, I like that. Nice balance, gorgeous. Super excited. So I have a few things that I want to continue working on, drawing out that neck on our raising stake. And then after a few more heats, I think what we're going to do next is we're going to take it over here to the face of the anvil. And I'm going to try and pull the corners out of that front face. We've kind of developed a square on the end of it. And I need to round out that square, and a lot of what I'm trying to do now is make it a lot easier for me to on me when it comes to grinding. So trying to make it a little bit easier on myself when it comes to grinding this steak. So if I can get rid of the corners, that's a lot less material I have to remove. All right. So I've got an ad incoming in about 2.5 minutes. So I think what's going to happen is I'm going to see if I can't beat the ad. We're racing. The ad and me. Can I finish the heat in time? Maybe not, since I just let it go up that high. If the ad starts in the middle of this heat, I apologize for that. We're going to flip this over and work on this side next. Keeping on, keeping on. I did beat it. Yay! Ray the Smithy. Can she beat it? Yes, she can. To the Bob the Builder theme. I barely beat the ad. All right, let's do another angle. If I put this in front, I might be able to get a little bit closer. Can I do it? Can I do it if I put this over top of the, like so? You might actually be able to see that in the camera, though. Yes, you can, unfortunately. Pull this back a little bit. Yeah, you can still see it. No, you can't. super exciting. Now I can get super close. Aha. Now I'm gonna trip, guys. I'm gonna trip. Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can see it. I was looking forward to my first cyclone this weekend, but it's probably gonna miss us now. My only hurricane was the one that destroyed North Carolina in 24. It hit us at Quad State. That did indeed suck. Tent camping in a hurricane. It was wet for 5 days. Oh, I heard about that because this year was my first year. There was a lot of people that were talking about the hurricane the previous year. I'm so happy that everybody made it out of that for, the most part. There was like less, I mean, there was damage, but like everybody primarily made it through. So I was super happy to hear about that. Stegman in real life, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream, welcome to the community. Vat Ray, Super Ray, Captain Ray America, Doctor Strange, Strange, Birds of Prey. I mean, clearly I'm Vat Ray. I've got Batman on my shirt today. I'm clearly Bat Ray. Thank you for that 15. Wow, a 15 stream streak, Corwin? Jeez. Thank you for that. Wow. Yes, clearly we are Bat Ray. Even though my favorite superheroes are the X-Men. I used to be obsessed with the X-Men. I have like 2,000 X-Men comic books. There was a time in the early 2000s where I had at least half of the issues or of the individual issues within the entire X-Men run. All of the different titles. The X-Rays. Something like that. No, Bat Ray. Yes, I'm Bat Ray. See Batman on my shirt. Super exciting to be here. I'm so glad to be back. Man, I'm glad to be back. I'm out of water. Of course I'm out of water. Well, I guess I'm going to go and grab the Gatorade because I did not fill the jerry can today because it's cooler and I didn't expect to drink this so quickly. I will be right back, guys. I'll put that there. Give me just 1 second. We got some yellow Gatorade that I got to drink. Lights up. All right. Sorry about that, guys. We are going to do another heat once I take a drink of this. All right, let's go. Let's go, let's go. There we go. Much more better. well. So, I am going to come over and bring this piece over to the anvil. And we're going to bring our other stake over. Because I want to kind of, whoops, there went my hammer, compare the two a little bit. So, what do I have? Okay, I have that right there. I watched the video with the junior nail smithing champ Noah. Wow, is he ever dedicated and hardworking? He is, man, he is. It was so cool talking to him. All right, we are at 4 inches long for from the base of this neck to the end there. I want to make it a little bit longer. We have about 5 inches on the back end, so that's pretty good. We're going to pull that out a little bit further. Probably going to make another smaller end on the other side. But we're doing pretty well on this guy. I think I'm going to do a couple more heats back here on this base. And then to kind of squish that down a little bit. And then we're going to take the corners off of here. So let's heat this back up. All right. Uh-oh, I gotta do stuff. But I'll leave the stream on in the background for watch time. I'll check back later. Thanks, Lexi. Have fun. The one on the right looks so hot. It does, it does. So yeah, Noah has been forging for a very long time already, and he started blacksmithing when he was 8 years old. I cannot imagine being that dedicated to be able to spend your entire, childhood and early teens learning blacksmithing. I didn't start blacksmithing until I was well into my 20s. So I think it's great that he's starting so young. And I just wanted to highlight that, it doesn't matter who you are. You can learn to blacksmith as long as you're, cognitive enough to be able to be safe about it or. So I was really excited to talk to Noah. Let's see. Starting to freeze up a little bit, but I think we'll be fine. I started in my 40s. Wish I started back in high school. I mean, I didn't have the money to start when I was in high school, but it would have been really nice to start a little bit earlier. And I think my biggest regret is not having enough people to teach me directly. I wish I had an instructor. I mean, YouTube was my instructor, and you can learn a lot from YouTube. But if I had someone to watch me and make sure that I was doing things correctly, I think I would have learned a lot faster. I know that when I was able to go to the Memphis Metals Museum, in 1 week, I progressed the same amount that I would have in like 6 months. So just like being able to get live feedback and active attention and instruction, it's amazing. Definitely worth it. The potential to learn and practice is awesome at his age. Yeah, definitely. So, it's so cool to see someone so young. And, he's the one that Noah's the one that I was able to interview. But there were 5 competitors and 2 heats. So 5 competitors each heat. So there was 9 or 10 of them. And that was incredible. they were all under 16 years of age. So, you know, there's a group of people who are young and getting into blacksmithing. So it's super exciting to see that the craft is going to be perpetuated into the future by the next generation. I only worry about the repetitive stress injury if they overdo something. See, that's partially why I think that direct teaching and instruction is the way to go, right? Because when you are just trying to figure things out, you can't really, you're not as familiar with the like the hammer blows and what you can do to minimize the damage that you can do to yourself by blacksmithing, right? There are certain techniques for holding hammers and hammering that are going to reduce the stress on your body significantly. So it is amazing that, you know, Noah and young kids like him are able to go to Abana affiliates and get the instruction that they need, you know, to be able to continue blacksmithing lifelong and to be as safe as possible. I do have to say that the difference in the way I hold a forging hammer and the way I hold a raising hammer, it's completely different, right? I hold my raising hammer like this, right? If I were to do this with my forging hammer, I would damage the tendons in my thumb so quickly. But the amount of control that you can get by holding a hammer like this, a small raising hammer like this, it's incredible and it's phenomenal. But you have to be careful. You know, you have to really know what you're doing. And I feel like it's really hard to figure that out on your own or through just using YouTube. So, you know, looser grips, you know, I myself like to use, you know, the pinch grip, you know, and get that extra whip. Not everybody does that, but most people, they have a full-on grip and it's a looser grip. So you're not like white knuckling it. You'll injure yourself if you do that. All right, let's do another heat. Ah, spinny. I think I like that view. I think it's a pretty good, pretty close-up view. I think for me, when or talking about handle grips, kind of reminds me. A lot of people have been commenting about how I choke up really high on my hammer, and how I should choke down, and I would get a lot more power. And I think that maybe I should actually learn to do that. I usually hold my hammer about here, and the reason I do that is because I get a little bit more control at the midpoint. And I'm used to a lot shorter handles on my hammers because I come from a jewelry background, and I was able to modify that grip, but I never did choke down on my hammer. So I don't know. I'll have to practice. I'm definitely going to lose a little bit of accuracy choking down on my hammer, but I think it's probably worth looking into and practicing up to get the accuracy back. You can kind of see where my hand usually sits on this hammer because you can see like the wear marks. My only thing is that I do actually have a little bit of damage to the tendons in my wrist. I have a little bit of tendonitis that flares up every once in a while. And that is because I played the drums when I was a kid and when I was in high school. But I didn't really have a lot of instruction. I had a little bit of instruction in the very beginning, and then a lot of it I figured out on my own. So I did end up holding my drumsticks, and I also learned congas. So I was a little bit hard on my wrist when I was a kid. Choking down requires a firm grip, right? That's how I get fatigued when I'm hammering. It definitely takes a slightly more firm grip than I normally use with this here. But you can get to the point where you don't need quite as much firmness. I think as you learn the control, you can get the loose grip back. Yeah, physics says you get more oomph with a greater lever, but also move more for the same hand motion, so harder to control. Yes, and it is definitely harder to control. You've got like any little movement in your hand, you're gonna miss like where you're trying to hit. And so that's why I choke up more. It's because I have a lot more control when I choke up my hammer about here, right? But I'm really practiced up there. I guess not necessarily lock my wrist, but I can get a good motion. It's very muscle memory for me. So I gotta build up the muscle memory down here as well. I also have some muscle memory up here, from my jewelry days. I just gotta, learn all of the hand positions, I think. It's like when you're fencing, right? The longer your reach, the less you have to move your hand in order to move the sword, right? Less effort with more defense or more movement, I guess. But accuracy suffers. You have to be very accurate. You have to practice up. All right, let's do another heat. gonna go sideways next, get rid of this little bump that we formed, and then after that, I'm gonna go back to the anvil and we're gonna start dealing with these corners in the front. Super exciting, guys. We're getting there. I did not actually think that we were going to make this much progress this quickly. I know that my forge, it runs really cold because it really deserves 2 burners and I only put 1 burner in it. And A2, which is the steel alloy that we are using today, requires an incredibly hot forging point. So I wasn't sure how well we were going to do. Speed-wise, I thought it was going to take a lot longer to forge down because it does require such a high heat. So I'm super excited that we're going to be able to flip this over on Friday. And yeah, super excited. Getting good movement with the press today. We are, like I said, I'm super excited. And yeah. I think my estimate as to how long this is going to take might actually be accurate for once in my life. I predicted 3 weeks, so it has been 3 streams on so far. I think that it's going to take Friday, Monday, and Tuesday at the very least. And I think we're going to take a couple more streams beyond that to kind of finesse things and make sure that everything is nice and trued up and we've got the best forge out of it. So I think it's going to take a little less than maybe 3 weeks of streaming. So like I said, 1 more heat with the press, and then we're going to come here to the anvil. This is where I think things are going to slow down a little bit because we're taking those corners off of the first ball. And I think that that is going to take a while because I'm going to have to do that by hand. Dealing with the press is an important thing to learn for all celebrities, blacksmiths. Yeah. But don't they say that any press is a good press, right? It might be a bad press, but it's still press. So yeah, I am super excited and happy. Things are going my way for once. Press hype large, yes. Lots of press hype today. Oh wow, we've only been going for an hour and a half. That's super. I thought it had been longer than that. So we've got a lot more time to go. Maybe we'll be able to flip it around today or like start working on it. Just like we started on this piece, on the side that we're starting on, we're going to have to do a little bit of drawing down on the opposite side before we start laying in the ball for the other side. Originally, I was going to do a pointed end, a ball end, and a pointed end. But then I realized that I already have a stake with a pointed end. And I kind of thought about that when John mentioned or asked if I was going to do 2 round balls, right? So I think he's right. I think I should do 2 round ends on this new stake because then it will be even more different than this stake. If I did both pointed ends like this one, then there's a whole other genre, I guess, of tools that I don't that I wouldn't have, and then I would have a repeat. So it should be nice. I'll try and forge another ball, like a smaller one. Whoops, there went my quench bottle. Ow. I think there was like a metal sliver on that or something. So we have an ad coming up in about 3 minutes. I think I should be able to do our sideways heat before that ad starts. So let's do that. Rip quench bottle. Yeah, it's empty, so that's why it fell off to begin with. So not too bad. We'll be fine. Oh, look, it's too far down. Rotating way too much this week, but that's all right. I got what I needed done. So back at the heat, and we're gonna start working on those corners now. We may end up doing a little bit of on this side after we're done with a little bit of that ball there. That last heat, I was a little bit out of control there. I need to be a little bit more in control. Otherwise, we're going to have some problems. But we are going slow enough that any problems that are caused, we'll be able to fix them relatively easily. You know what? I need to move my camera because we're going to do our next heat at the end, though. So we're going to move over here. As I hiccup. I don't know if that was a hiccup or a burp. Something in between. There we go. Boo, fixing problems. Yay, compounding them. I mean, sometimes that's the way to go, right? A hiccup. A hiccup, yeah. I'm debating if I want to use this or not. Because I know that I'm going to lose a lot of control because these tongs are not amazingly good at hanging on to the piece of steel without wiggling around. So I wonder if this will help me or not. Will it hurt me or will it help me? I haven't decided yet. Either one. It's a mystery. I cannot predict yet whether it will hurt or help me. I might actually try the hold down just because I think it will help me. I'll try it. I was just debating whether this is going to hurt me or help me when it comes to working on those corners. I'm going to try it. It might help, it might hurt. So today is a really gloomy, rainy day. It hasn't actually started raining actively today, but it's like we got those storm clouds coming in. And so all the cars outside have their lights on, and occasionally I will see like some random colored light. Earlier I saw it was a Jeep that had bright yellow lights, not like tungsten yellow, like normal, old school light bulbs, but like yellow tinted lights. It was kind of strange. I always have to look out the window. If it doesn't hurt you, it can make you stronger, right? Or isn't that the saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger? We'll see. All right, let's try this, guys. This might be a mistake, but we're gonna see. We are gonna see. I need it like so. Can I hammer it right there? Will it work? Haha! So now I should be able to control this a little bit easier. It was a little bit easier, I will admit. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's also not as bad as it could have been, right? It could have been worse. All right, more heat. Trying out that choked down hammer blow too a little bit. It could kill you, but less likely. That is very true. I think the yellow lights were once mandatory, or at least common in the Netherlands. I got to say that I really hate the fact that we as the American car companies have decided that they want to use LED lights for headlights, but not there are different styles of LED lights. They don't have to be blindingly bright like they are. For whatever reason, they've just decided that quality, LED lights have to be blinding. It's like people always have their brights on. It's awful. It's really hard to be able to get your night vision going. And I mean, I have to say that, to preface it by, I'm partially night blind. When I was learning how to solder and do some of my silversmithing techniques, I didn't wear tinted safety glasses, and I should have, right? So now I just don't have quite as much dark vision as I should. But still, other people complain about the LED lights. It's not just me. We need to go back to the regular, the regular, or I guess not the regular, but the old brightness, luminance, I guess. I can understand the super bright lights in rural off-road areas, but in most places it's obnoxious. Yeah, it's like there's a reason that we have brights on, on vehicles, so that, if you're in the country, you can see deer and other animals and other cars and stuff on really, dark areas that don't have streetlights. But we don't need that in the city. Over here, there are restrictions on angles for front lights. They have to be checked and corrected regularly. See, we should do that too. Dick Girl Garage, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, I think that we need to regulate the amount of light. Because, like, last week, the northern lights were around, and people were able to see them as far south as, like, almost Florida. And we wanted to see them, but we couldn't, right? We just went outside, and we don't live in the middle of a city or anything. We live kind of on the outskirts, but we could not see them from our yard. We went out like 45 minutes away and still couldn't see them. There's so much light pollution, and it's so unnecessary. Some people just think the bright lights and a big truck are cool. I think so. And I mean, part of it too is like, if one person has it, then everybody's got to have it. And, it's bandwagoning. So I think that we need to regulate it. I really do. And the left light needs to be lower than the right edge to avoid blinding oncoming traffic, while the right side needs to be higher to be able to see pedestrians at the side of streets. See, that's ingenious. We should do that. Why don't we do that here in the United States? We should. Also, I don't think it is necessary for people in the United States to have as giant of vehicles as we do. I went to try and buy a truck so I could load things and use it for a truck, right? Well, my bed is like this high off the ground. I have to lift things ridiculously high to get them in my truck. I mean, my old truck, the bed was a lot lower. It was like down here, and it was so much easier to load. Because freedom, I guess. We could get into that, but that would be very political. There's a lot of politics involved in why our trucks are so huge, so we're not going to get into that. But just know, I don't think trucks should be as big as they are. Germany is known to regulate everything, which has advantages and disadvantages. I feel like that's everything, right? There are always advantages and disadvantages to things. Oh, and I dropped it. I knew I was going to drop it. That's totally why I made sure that all of that paper from the hammer packaging was going to go away from the anvil. If a truck can hold a full sheet of plywood, then that's big enough for me. See, my old truck used to hold an entire sheet of plywood, right? The 4x8 standard sheets of plywood. You don't need the ginormous, like, huge trucks to do that. They don't have to be that high off the ground, See, that's bed size, putting an entire sheet of plywood in there. And then there are so many people who have giant trucks that have the tiny little beds. It's like, what can you put in there? What do you need that for? On my old Jeep, I had 700-watt spotlights up top for off-road use. But if someone coming at me didn't dim their brights, I'd flip the switch and it was like driving in the daytime. See, I mean, I totally get why you would have those, right? Because, like, especially if you're, if you're doing a lot of demos for forging and stuff like that, that when in the winter time, it gets dark. So you get the giant bright lights so that people can see you while you're forging at night. But, like, yeah, on the roads, not necessary. I mean, I totally get that, if someone doesn't put their brights on, more power to you, but blinding. I remember seeing episodes of shows like the Mythbusters where the strongly modified a truck like welded something to it and then drove it on a public road. Over here, this would be a load of paperwork. Getting the modifications approved by someone officially accepted party, documented it all. Yeah, that would be a big lot of bureaucracy. My Wrangler spent as much time off-road as it did on. See, that makes sense. If you're going to be like camping in the wilderness or off-roading, you do need that stuff because there aren't street lights everywhere out in the boonies, You need that stuff so that you can see, especially, when in the fall when it's still somewhat warm, but it gets dark really early. I get why people want bright lights, but it's unnecessary on our city streets. That's really what I'm trying to say. When you're going on the highway and there's just like, you're in rush hour traffic, it's like I'm going to go blind from the opposite side, because I can see all the street lights. Or, I mean, not the street lights, the car lights. But yeah. Blinded by the light. I think there's a song. No, I know that there's a song. And that was the reference. Blinded by the light. See, I don't get a lot of references, but that one I do. Let's do another heat. Actually, let me make sure that I've got a good other angle. Let's go up high. If I can make that happen. And we're going to go forward a little bit. Or maybe we're not going to go forward a little bit. But we are going to do... Wait. We're going to focus it first. We're going to focus things because that's a good thing to do. When you're a filmmaker, you want to focus things and make sure that people can see what you're trying to do. Okay, there we go. The worst is freeway construction zones where it's reduced to two-way traffic, lights constantly in your face, right? One of the most misunderstood lyric songs. Regarding lights, you can buy LED replacements for light bulbs for the front light, but you're only allowed to use if they are approved by the manufacturer of the car, or you lose the operating permit for your car. So you are not allowed to run it on a public street. Okay, that makes sense. Because, I mean, there are a lot of modifications that are not street legal, is what we call it, street legal, here in the United States, you have to have, there are some regulations, maybe less here than there. I don't know for sure. All right, let's do another heat. Trying not to knock my hammer off. we do it? Yes, we can. All right. I'm going to grab more heat. Each of these corners are starting to stick out on the end, so we're going to hammer that back, or I guess upset it back. We're also going to take care of this little curve that's starting to happen. So I'm going to see what I can do about that. Slowly but surely getting there. I was watching to see if you were going to try to pronounce that word. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. This time I decided to not even attempt it because that's a really, really big, long word. And even if I get like a little syllable right, I would not know which one it was. Also, it has occurred to me, like over time, that I could totally be pronouncing words that mean all kinds of craziness and not even know it because, I trust you guys. And, you guys could totally pull a prank on me and make me say something really weird, You just have to say it with confidence and it sounds right. Right. I don't know. It's like, who knows? Maybe on April Fools, you guys will start talking in or speaking in like German or whatever other languages, Netherlands language, Dutch, and I will attempt to pronounce it, and I'll be saying like weird things, like I don't know, something crazy. And I'll think that I'm saying something normal. That's how I pronounced ancient names. See, a lot of times I will end up using like Latin or phonetic pronunciations that I learned when I was in, I took Latin class when I was in high school. But then I also mix in like the Americanized pronunciation of a lot of things too. So I feel like I'm always gonna slaughter the foreign words. For cars or car parts which are mass produced, there is the general operating permit. While for a specific single part, like a modification, you need that is a really big word, individual operating permit. Welcome to Germany. Okay. Interesting. I mean, I think that makes sense, Because, like, the mass-produced one, the mass-produced ones are going to go out to a lot of different people. So they're probably going to be a lot more strict on a general permit than they would be, as far as safety and stuff, than maybe they would be on the individual permit, because at least if it's a specific modification, then you are taking some liability on yourself. At least that would be what I would guess, I could be wrong. Let's do another heat. I'm going to do this sideways, like so. See if I can get this on here. Not amazingly well. Not the way I wanted it to. Whoop, we're dropping it. That's how I thought that might go. All right, now we're going to flip this over like so, because we've got a turn on that end. right, that's not too bad as far as accuracy. I guess I haven't really choked down as much as I thought I did. Well, we'll try that again at some point. Let's do another heat. We're getting a little bit of a straightening, so that's exactly what I want to see. I think we're going to focus on a bulge that's developing right here. Car manufacturers have to get a type approval. Just look through the laws involved. These words are probably the shortest and easiest. I'll bet they are. German has a lot of really huge words in it. Ugh, miss me with that bureaucracy. Duct tape and baling wire have been working for 100 years. Right? So when I was in college, somebody took a baseball bat to my tail light and just broke it out just because, the drunk kids, right? And instead of replacing the tail light shield, I found some clear tape and I put that over it, and then I got pulled over for using clear tape, and so I put red tinted tape over that. And that's how I was for a really long time. I had red tape over my taillight. And nowadays, my vehicles aren't as jank as that, but back in the day, I do have slightly nicer vehicles now. I bought my truck in 2019. It's a 2018. And the thing has 26,000 miles on it. I don't do a lot of driving, as you can probably tell. Someone's been listening to too much Carrie Underwood, taking a Louisville Slugger to both taillights. It was only one taillight. But they also egged my vehicle once. So, I think they were not thrilled with me for whatever reason. I don't think I did anything to them, though. I think we figured it out that it was my ex-boyfriend's, new girlfriend or something. It was like, I'm not with that guy anymore. Why me? I don't know. Some people. Maybe they thought it was someone else's vehicle. I don't know. People still do it. It's not officially allowed to publish or to polish headlines when they get blind, but they need to be replaced because the material gets a tiny bit thinner than the construction is not equal to the approved one anymore. That makes sense because anytime you're polishing something, you are removing material from that thing. So when you get your jewelry polished, you are actually removing gold or silver or whatever the material is on your jewelry. So it is a very, very fine abrasive, but you are removing material. So it makes sense. He probably talked about you a lot and she got jealous. I mean, maybe. We were still friends. The trick is simply that in German, you do not leave the spaces in the compound words, but glue them all together. That makes sense. That must be the reason why. I mean, we do have suffixes and prefixes, but usually we only use one per word. So, I mean, there are some words that have a preface and a suffix, but those are uncommon. She's probably out keying Teslas now. I am not going to make a comment on that, but I am going to do another heat. We're going to try and straighten out the neck on this piece one more time before the ad starts. We've got about 2.5 minutes. This direction. That's not terrible. I've kind of choked down on the hammer a little bit. It's not as inaccurate as I thought it would be. It does take a lot more effort to lift it, though. Not too bad, not too bad. I think we're going to see about taking out some of these wobbles in there for a little bit. And then we'll flip it over for Friday. She's probably lurking right now. Just kidding. Okay, I'll stop. I don't know. We all went to school together. Like I said, I don't necessarily know that, like, she did the right, or that she knew it was my vehicle. And I don't even know if I was, or if I'm right as to who did it. So that's just what I, what I had suspected due to a few things that also happened at that time. But I'm probably really wrong. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was like how many years ago? Like, I think I graduated in like 10. So that was like 15 years ago. Water under the bridge now. We got dash cams and doorbell cameras now, right? That was not a thing way back then. Also, that house, there's no way we would have had one. That was a garbage house that I was living in back then. One of these days, though. So I think after this ad, we're gonna do a couple more heats, and then we'll probably hang it up for the day. Like I said, I want to work on the neck of this piece, kind of take out a few of the little crinkle cuts from the French fries, and then we'll probably work on, or be back on Friday until I get rated, probably. If I get rated, maybe I'll flip it over, but I'll have to take a 5-minute break if I get rated and I end up going beyond. Corwin knows. Pee breaks are allowed. Yeah, they're allowed. They're just, I find them obnoxious because I get all tangled up in my lav mic. And then I'm always afraid that I mute the wrong thingy, or that like I accidentally or that I will accidentally like not mute the right thing. Oh my god, Pete, you rated me with one person. Yay, raid. Thank you so much for that raid. Let me get a shout out. Thank you so much for that raid. I think that was deliberate. Oh, yes. I called it, yes. Right? All right, let's do another heat. I was asking for that. I was asking for that. Ah. Let's see if I can do this right. I kept hold of it. I gotta be a little bit careful when it's jumping like that, because when it jumps like that, it often ends up hitting me in the hand as it rotates. So I gotta be really careful. All right. I'll do 2 more heats because I do have another thing I want to do while I'm thinking about it. But they're gonna be really short heats. Yep, too bouncy. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna flip it over, so that the bottom section, that little isolated ball section, is at the top. We're gonna work on the French fry crinkles a little bit, and then 1 more heat because I want to see if I can't maybe use the hold down to kind of ice or like take that ball off the end. It's kind of tipping up, and I want to see if I can't flatten it back down on that spine. So those are going to be our last 2 heats. Let me make sure that I'm not going to lose the tail end of the stream. Because sometimes I forget to reset my shot at the very end, and then I lose like the tail end of my close-ups on my stream. Ooh, itchy back. But I'll be all right. Okay. It's a good time to end the stream too, because the propane is starting to freeze up a little bit. It's starting to get a little bit colder than it has been in the forge. So it's a good time to shut things down. So we'll get those 2 in, and then I'll let the propane tank rest and de-thaw. Or unthaw? Yeah, unthaw. All right. Oh, I was gonna flip this direction. Grab a hold of this easier. That's why we wear an apron, guys. That's why we wear an apron. Okay. For our next heat, we're going to hang this over the edge like so. We're going to take this guy and we're going to use the hold down to hold that in place so that we can hammer directly on this ball and push it down. It's starting to pop up a little bit, and I want to make sure that we get a nice flat, because that's exactly what I want from the end of the steak. I don't want to have to grind it off if I don't need to. Shut it down, down by the river. Something like that. Down by the river. Where the water's so cool? No, that's not the next line. But yeah, so thank you guys for joining me today. I have had a blast. I am so glad to be back out in the shop after my break on Monday. So I will definitely be back on Friday. Weren't you at Curie's stream when this was a thing? I mean, maybe? I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me today. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Are you going to park your van down by the river? Saying it that way makes it sound like I'm homeless. I'm going to park my van under the bridge and, you know, because that's where I'm going to, you know, camp. Thanks. Good to have you back. Hope you have a great evening. Yes, thank you. Like I said, one more heat, and then we will raid off. If there's anybody that you guys would like to raid, please do let me know. You know the drill. I always take suggestions. You can also file or mill things down by the river. I could if I had, I guess. One of these days, we might take a trip together down to the makerspace, because I'll bet you there's a mill at the makerspace. But I gotta make sure that I have access to it and stuff. Okay. Aha! I think we'll do a little bit more of this on Friday. But we've got a decent amount of it. I want to kind of show that to you a little bit. We've definitely moved that ball down, and so we can hang this over the end and kind of shape that end. So I think we'll do a little bit of that on Friday. If I remember. You guys should help me remember. As I drop everything. I could raid the official Twitch channel. They're starting patch notes. Are they? Is that what you guys want to watch? The patch notes? All right, thank you guys so much for watching the stream, for joining me today. I have had a lovely time with you guys. I'm so glad to be back. If you guys want to watch the official Twitch channel, I can do that, or we can go and find some friends. Thank you, Ping. Have a great day. I think I'm going to raid Kanara. She's making a soup. No soup for you. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will see you on Friday.